the long-lost heir to the Wexler fortune. Except, I was the heir nobody wanted. I knew this story like the back of my hand. The beloved adopted son is a master manipulator, and the family is blind to it. My predecessor in this body was no match for his schemes, and ended up with a father who despised him, a mother who couldn't stand him, and 4 older sisters who wanted him gone. But now, I'm the one living this story in the real son's body. And I don't coddle two-faced little snakes. Leo, it's all my fault, he started, his voice thick with fake emotion. Don't blame Mom and Dad. I'll leave right now. Thank you. Thank you for raising me all these years. I'll work hard. I'll pay back every penny the family spent on me. And Leo, don't worry, he continued, his voice cracking perfectly. I won't take a single thing that belongs to you. Just give me a little time. His performance was so over the top, I almost laughed. But then I remembered the family's signature blindness, and I got it. Just as I was about to shut him down, I heard it. A voice, clear as day, inside my head. Damn it, he actually came back. But does he really think he can just show up and steal my life? Dream on. Mom, Dad, my sisters. Their hearts belong to me. Looks like I need a plan to get rid of him. It'd be even better if he just disappeared. Save me a lot of trouble. The Wexler fortune can only be mine. I froze. My family froze. Well, what do you know? The universe just handed me an easy win. 0-1. Leo, it's all my fault. Every last bit of it. Mason Vance cried, making a show of dropping to his knees in front of me. I'm the one who stole your place as the Wexler heir all these years, who enjoyed the family you were supposed to have. Please forgive me. I'd barely stepped through the front door and hadn't even processed my surroundings when this guy materialized in front of me, spewing nonsense and trying to prostrate himself on the marble floor. It took me a second, but then it clicked. A classic divide and conquer tactic. He knew the family adored him and would never let him kneel. This was all for show, a way to paint me as the villain from the second I walked in. A 2-for-1 special of pure, unadulterated drama. Just as I predicted, before his knees could touch the floor, my 4th sister, Chloe, rushed forward and caught him, her eyes filled with adoration. Mason, what does any of this have to do with you? You're a victim in this too, she cooed. Don't worry, she added, shooting me a look of pure disgust over his shoulder. As long as we're here, no one is going to make you leave. It was as if my very presence was a threat to him. Of course, I knew they wouldn't let me kneel. It's just an act. Plus, it makes Leo look like a total jerk. So what if he's the real heir? He has no power in this house. He'll learn to do what I say soon enough. Chloe, who was still holding Mason, suddenly went rigid. Where was that voice coming from? It sounded so familiar. It sounded exactly like Mason. Honey, what did you just say? She asked, her brow furrowed. Mason looked up at her, his face a mask of confusion. Chloe, I didn't say anything. Are you feeling okay? You shouldn't be worrying about me. You need to take care of yourself. That was her sweet, caring little brother, always thinking of her first. Not like Leo, this stranger who was technically her brother by blood, but showed no concern for her at all. So what if Mason wasn't their real brother? They'd lived with him for 18 years. That kind of bond couldn't be broken. As for the voice, she decided I must have been behind it somehow. Leo, I'm warning you, she snapped at me. Don't try to pull any stunts in this house. And don't even think about driving Mason out. He is our brother. He is a part of this family. If you say one bad word to him, you'll have to answer to me. I was completely baffled. This woman had some serious issues. What had I said since walking in? I hadn't even had a chance to open my mouth, and she was already pinning this on me. You want drama? Fine, I can play that game. I understand. I stammered, my voice trembling. But Chloe, I haven't said a single word since I got here. I never said I wanted Mason to leave. Why are you yelling at me? I know I'm not good enough. Switched at birth. Abused every day, never enough to eat. Always cold. Spending my days doing chores on a farm. A background like mine doesn't belong in a family like the Wexlers. It's my fault. I never should have agreed to come back. It's my fault for disrupting your perfect lives. I'm so sorry. Before I could finish, my vision went black and I collapsed. This part wasn't an act. I was planning to lay it on a little thicker, show them what a true master of the craft looked like. But this body was genuinely weak. And everything I just said was the God's honest truth. While the fake heir was living it up with the best of everything, I was in a shack in Appalachia, lucky to get one meal a day and getting beaten more often than not. My body was already broken down. The slightest emotional spike was too much for it to handle, and it just gave out. My sudden collapse threw the entire Wexler family into a panic. No one expected me to pass out the moment I arrived, especially Chloe. A flicker of panic crossed her face. It was obvious she realized she'd gone too far. "What are you all standing around for? Call a doctor," my father boomed. A blessing in disguise. My fainting spell suddenly made me the center of attention. As for Mason, he was left standing off to the side, completely ignored, like he was invisible. 02. His body is severely malnourished. He'll need to be built up slowly over time, the family doctor explained after examining me. The fainting was caused by extreme emotional distress. "You should wake up soon. Don't worry." After the doctor left, the Wexlers didn't leave. They stood around my bed, waiting for me to wake up. "Mom, it's all my fault." Mason began his routine again. "If it weren't for me, Leo wouldn't have." "Mom, don't worry. As soon as he wakes up, I'll apologize, and then I'll leave the Wexler house. I won't let him feel even a little bit uncomfortable." "Damn it, you better never wake up. Just die in your sleep and save me the trouble of kicking you out." The family flinched, looking around in confusion. But they'd all heard it. That was definitely Mason's voice. But he hadn't opened his mouth. "Mason, you're F," Chloe started to ask, but the moment she tried to mention the voice, her words were mysteriously silenced. Good. They couldn't be allowed to ask him about it yet. Not before his mask was completely shattered. If he knew they could hear him, he'd get defensive. Right on cue, I chose that moment to wake up. "Is this heaven?" I mumbled, my eyes fluttering. "It's so beautiful here. No chores, no beatings. I can finally get a good night's sleep, a full meal." My mother's expression visibly softened with pity. Even though their hearts were still with the manipulative fake son, I was, after all, her flesh and blood. Seeing my relief, a pang of guilt shot through her. What kind of life had I been living? That death seemed like a welcome escape. "Leo, you're awake. Does anything hurt? I'm your mother. Don't scare me like this." Hearing her voice, I slowly opened my eyes. So I'm not dead. The flicker of disappointment in my eyes was like a knife in her heart. "Why would you be dead? As long as I'm here, I'll never let you die." A confused look crossed my face. But they always told me I was worthless, that it would be better if I were dead. Is it true? Would they be happier if I died? That sent my mother into a rage. "Who said that? Who said you were worthless? They're the worthless ones. Their whole damn family is worth." She was on a roll, but suddenly stopped, remembering who was in the room. She quickly turned to Mason. "The art of playing the victim is an innate talent, not something you can learn." The moment Mason heard my mother cursing, he had already sunk to the floor, curled into a ball, looking as if he'd been dealt a mortal blow. "Mason, sweetie, I didn't mean it like that. You'll always be my precious boy. I was just so angry I wasn't thinking. Don't take it to heart." "Yeah, Mason, don't overthink it. You know how much Mom loves you. She would never say that about you. You're our baby brother." The other sisters chimed in, rushing to his side. "Don't cry, little bro. It breaks my heart to see you like this." The second Mason shed a tear, the entire family swarmed him with comfort. No one of my predecessor was played so easily. This guy's victim act was legendary. I lay in bed, silently watching the whole ridiculous scene unfold. This family was truly something else. Their actual son, weak and recovering, was completely ignored. Meanwhile, the fake son, who was perfectly fine, had them all tripping over themselves in a panic. And let's not forget, Mason's biological parents were the ones who orchestrated the whole switch. The son of the culprits was receiving all their love. Absolutely insane. They were practically saints of dysfunction. "Leo Wexler, how are you going to compete with me? So what if I'm not their real son? I'm still the favorite in this house. Still, having him around is a liability. I have to find a way to get rid of him. Otherwise, he'll get half the Wexler inheritance, and I can't have that." Hearing his inner monologue again, I glanced over at Mason. He was staring right at me, a triumphant smirk on his face. I had a smile. This guy was really digging his own grave, and his inner thoughts were the shovel. It was obvious now that everyone in the family could hear his thoughts. They just hadn't fully accepted it yet. They were still looking around, trying to find the source of the voice. This was perfect. I didn't even have to lift a finger. Mason was going to destroy himself. Are you the one doing this? Chloe suddenly rounded on me. Ever since you came back, we've been hearing these weird voices. It must be you. Are you trying to tear this family apart? I take back what I said earlier. These people really were blind. I was lying here, having done nothing, and they still managed to point the finger at me. Chloe, shut up. Who said you could call me that? I only have one brother, and his name is Mason. I don't know. I didn't do anything. Why doesn't anyone like me? Maybe I should just die. I'm just worthless trash anyway. I may not be a natural at this, but I've seen enough to know how to put on a show. I curled up on the bed, wrapping my arms around myself, head tucked in, my whole body shaking uncontrollably. Chloe, that's enough. Even though my mother also suspected me, seeing me like this tugged at her heartstrings. She started to move toward me to offer some comfort. But before she could, Mason grabbed her hand from behind. Mom, I'm fine, really. After all, I'm the one who took over Leo's life for all these years. It's all my fault. Leo, he said, turning to me with a pained expression, if my being here bothers you, I can leave right now. But I have one selfish request, if you'll allow it. Even after I leave, please, could you let me come back and visit Mom sometimes? His words had the intended effect. The sisters were practically melting with sympathy. But for every ounce of pity in their eyes for Mason, there was an equal amount of contempt in their eyes for me. Mason, you're just too considerate, Chloe sighed. Don't worry. No one is kicking you out of this house. No one. Just as Chloe was about to say more, my father shot her a sharp glare, silencing her. Enough of this racket. What is wrong with you all? No one is being kicked out. You're all members of the Wexler family. And I don't want to hear another word about who's to blame for what. Neither of you is at fault. That's right, your father is right. None of this is your fault. You're both innocent, my mother quickly agreed. Leo is your brother now, too. From now on, you all need to love each other. Be good to Leo. Make up for all the affection he's missed out on all these years. My mother sat down on the edge of my bed and took my hand. My poor boy, you've suffered so much. But none of this is Mason's fault. He's a victim, too. Please don't blame him. Besides, you know what his biological family is like. If Mason went back to them, they would make his life a living hell. The Wexler family has more than enough resources to support both of you. From now on, you're brothers. Promise me you'll get along, okay? Across the room, Mason watched me with a smug, triumphant look. He was probably dying for me to say no. If I refused, it would be his cue to launch into another tearful monologue, winning more sympathy from the family and making me look even worse. But I wasn't going to fall into that trap. To be honest, I didn't care about Mason, and I didn't particularly care about being a Wexler either. For now, I was just playing the part. Mom, I know. I promise I'll be a good brother to Mason. On the surface, I agreed, but inside I was scoffing. Their real son was kidnapped and abused for years, and their solution is to ask him to befriend the kidnapper's son. You'd have to be a special kind of stupid to come up with that. But I understood. My mother simply couldn't bear to part with Mason. It wasn't really about me. Besides, they could all hear his inner thoughts. Right now, only Mason himself and the hopelessly devoted Chloe were in the dark. Get a time. They'd figure it out. Leo, thank you, Mason said, his voice dripping with false sincerity. I don't expect you to forgive me, but please, judge me by my actions from now on. Just treat me like a servant. Order me around as you please. Let me atone for the sins of my parents. Chloe was about to protest, but Mason's inner voice cut her off. Yeah, order me around. Go on. I'll just have to pull a few strings, and I guarantee I can make your life in this house a living hell. Looks like I need to start planning. I can't let him stay here. If I have to, I'll make him disappear. Permanently. Mason's thoughts exploded in their minds. They recognized the voice. It was definitely Mason's. But he hadn't spoken a word, which could only mean one thing. These were his thoughts. If that was true, then Mason was far more ruthless than they could have ever imagined. He was actually thinking about killing me. The family members exchanged uneasy glances, a seed of disbelief and horror planted in their minds. But the voice was unmistakable, and they had all heard it. They couldn't be sure yet, but if they just waited and watched, the truth would eventually come out. I saw their subtle reactions and knew exactly what they were thinking. They'd heard him. If they still managed to be blind after this, then there was truly no hope for them. Is something wrong? Sensing the awkward tension in the room, Mason looked around at the family. He could tell something was off, but he couldn't put his finger on it. All right, everyone out. Let's let Leo rest. His body is still weak. He doesn't need all this excitement, my father announced. Leo, if you need anything, just tell the butler. If there's something he can't handle, you can come to us. With a few brief instructions from my father, everyone filed out of the room. I was more than happy to see them go. Playing these mind games was exhausting. After a few weeks of rest at the Wexler estate, my health improved dramatically. The color returned to my face, and I no longer looked like a starving refugee who had just stumbled out of slum. Chloe, I'm entrusting Leo to you at school. You better take good care of him. If he gets so much as a scratch, you'll have me to answer to, my mother warned. Chloe still wasn't thrilled with my presence, but her attitude had softened considerably over the past few weeks. Of course, I had Mason to thank for my rapid progress in winning over the family. They had spent the past few weeks trying to understand the mysterious voice, and they had finally concluded that it was real. They were hearing Mason's true thoughts. They confirmed it every time one of his schemes, revealed by his inner monologue, was thwarted. Taking my phone to secretly photograph my eldest sister's business contracts, stealing my second sister's necklace and hiding it under my mattress, using my phone to post slanderous comments about my third sister online, breaking a family heirloom and then accidentally pushing him down the stairs to blame me, even tampering with my food. The list of petty plots was endless. If it had just been one or two incidents, they might have brushed it off as childish jealousy. But his actions grew more and more malicious, culminating in a plan to have me kidnapped while I was out shopping. Fortunately, my mother had insisted I take bodyguards with me, so nothing happened. But the bodyguards reported seeing several shady characters lurking around. They knew, without a doubt, that Mason had hired those thugs. And today was the day Chloe was supposed to take me to school for the first time. Predictably, Mason couldn't resist the opportunity to stir up more drama. Leo, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have gotten hurt, he whimpered, pointing to his injured ankle. But it really hurts right now. Could you please let Chloe take me to the hospital first? The school isn't far from here. Would you mind taking the bus today? Let's see what you do now. Chloe adores me. She'll definitely take me to the hospital first. You can enjoy your ride on public transportation. Damn, I should have thought this through. I should have called her while she was on the way to drop him off. Then she could have just left him stranded on the side of the road. Mason put on his most pathetic, puppy dog expression, but his inner thoughts were pure venom. Chloe glanced at Mason, then waved over the butler. Take Mason to the hospital. Have them check his ankle thoroughly. I don't want any lasting damage. Keep me updated on his condition. Then, she turned to me. Leo, let's go. I'll take you to school. I followed her out the door, leaving a completely stunned Mason in our wake. His beloved Chloe had abandoned him for me. Mr. Mason, shall we go to the hospital? The butler asked politely. No. With the family gone, Mason dropped the act. His face darkened as he stormed back to his room. Something felt very wrong in the house lately, but he couldn't figure out what had changed. At school, Chloe handled all of my registration paperwork. You're in the same class as Mason. If you need anything, you can come find me. Try to get along with your classmates. Perhaps out of guilt for how she'd treated me before, Chloe couldn't quite meet my eyes. She left in a hurry, looking like she was fleeing the scene of a crime. I wasn't bothered. I gathered my things and headed to my new classroom. The door was slightly ajar. I glanced up. Such a childish prank. No doubt this was the handiwork of Mason's little followers under his direction. A little welcome to school hazing. How pathetic, I muttered to myself. I pushed the door open. Just as they'd hoped, a bucket of water tipped over. But to their astonishment, I simply raised a hand and caught it before it could spill on me. Surprise! Under their shocked gazes, I made sure everyone got a little splash, sharing the love around the classroom. What are you doing? My clothes, they're soaked. Are you insane? You can't do that to us. They all started yelling, their faces contorted with rage. I, however, put on my most innocent expression. Anyone can play the victim. You got it all wrong. I thought this was a surprise you planned for me. I was just trying to play along. You guys don't think this is fun? Or was this little surprise meant for someone else? My faux innocent explanation left them completely stumped. Of course, the prank was meant for me. They wanted to see me humiliated, dripping wet. They never expected their plan to backfire so spectacularly. Of course you're from the countryside. No class at all. You don't deserve to be a Wexler. I don't know how he has the nerve to show his face. Living off the Wexler's money. And he's the reason Mason sprained his ankle. If it were me, I'd be too ashamed to stay. It was clear these girls had been thoroughly brainwashed by Mason. If that's how they wanted to play it, I could only fight fire with fire. Are you talking about me? You've really misunderstood. I'm not that kind of person. I didn't hurt Mason. He fell down the stairs all by himself. They obviously didn't believe me. In their eyes, Mason was a pure, innocent little angel. I didn't give them a chance to argue. I pulled out my phone and called Mason. Mason, you need to explain to your friends how you really hurt your leg. It worked. Mason thought I was being ostracized. Hearing my request, he immediately launched into his usual vague, self-pitying routine. Guys, please don't blame Leo. It really has nothing to do with him. It was my own fault. He let out a few soft sobs for dramatic effect. Anyone listening would think he was being horribly bullied at home. Mason, they don't believe you. I don't want my new classmates to hate me. I guess I'll just have to ask Mom and Dad to bring the doctor's report to the school. I'm sure they'll be happy to set the record straight for me. They're always fair. No one expected me to be willing to call our parents over something so trivial. Mason didn't dare call my bluff. He had learned over the past few weeks that I was just like him in one way. I wasn't afraid to cause a scene. He knew I would actually call our parents, without a shred of embarrassment. If this got back to our parents, and I added my own spin to the story, who knows how they would react. It could very well backfire on him. For the first time, Mason panicked. Leo, there's no need to bother Mom and Dad. I'll explain everything. Put me on speaker. Hey everyone, please don't misunderstand Leo. My injury has nothing to do with him. I was just careless. Please don't give him a hard time. He hung up in a hurry. I put my phone away and looked at the girls who had been targeting me. You heard him. Mason himself said it had nothing to do with me. So you'd better not spread any more rumors. Otherwise, I'll have to tell my parents. And if your family's business partnerships with the Wexlers suffer because of it, that'll be on you. That veiled threat hit its mark. They went pale. If their petty high school drama ended up costing their families a business deal, they'd be grounded for life. With Mason's little fan club dealt with, I walked into the classroom. The first thing I noticed was a girl sitting in the corner, radiating an air of calm tranquility. If I wasn't mistaken, that had to be Mason's fiancée, his intended bride, Sophia Rossi. I had no positive feelings for Sophia, despite her undeniable beauty. She was just like the Wexlers, blind. She treated Mason like a precious treasure. In the original story, she made my predecessor's life miserable, all because of her devotion to Mason. Looks like there are no empty desks. I guess I'll have to get one myself. Hey, does anyone know where I can get a desk? It was clear Mason had gotten to them first. No one would even look at me. Fine. I just have to call Chloe for help. No desk? How is that possible? The school was supposed to have everything arranged. How could they not have a spot for you? I put on my best wronged expression and told Chloe everything that had happened, without embellishment. Chloe was already annoyed with Mason. Hearing my story only fueled her anger. I'll handle this. You go find a place to hang out for a bit. I'll have a desk arranged for you. Since there was no place for me in the classroom, and it was a study period anyway, I decided to wander around the campus and get familiar with the school. Leo Wexler? I turned at the sound of my name. A girl who looked like she was trying way too hard to be a punk, flanked by a group of guys with bad dye jobs, had blocked my path. Roxy White, another one of Mason's conquests, utterly infatuated with him. She may have been just a girl, but she had a reputation at this school. It seemed Mason had sent her to teach me a lesson. This should be fun. Who are you? What do you want? I feigned terror, stumbling backward. Seeing how pathetic I looked, they all burst out laughing. This is the guy who's been giving Mason a hard time? You've got to be kidding me. Listen up, kid. Mason is under my protection. Nobody at this school messes with him. Roxy stepped forward and patted my cheek condescendingly. I looked at her with wide, innocent eyes. I didn't bully him. Still denying it, Mason told me everything. You've been making his life miserable at home. If I don't teach you a lesson today, you'll never learn who the real Wexler heir is. So, they were going to get physical. My body trembled, and I stuttered, "This is a school. You can't." Guess why I cornered you here? The security camera in this hallway is broken. No one will ever know what happened here. So be a good boy and cooperate, unless you want things to get really ugly. Oh, no cameras? In that case, I didn't have to keep up the act. It was getting exhausting. You should have just said there are no cameras. You could have saved me a lot of effort. Roxy and her crew stared at me, dumbfounded. Faced with this sudden, complete change in my demeanor, they were at a loss for words. Roxy, I don't hit girls, but that's only if you stay out of it and don't do anything stupid. Before Roxy could even process what I'd said, I moved. This body was still weak, but the fighting skills from my past life were still sharp in my mind. My time at the Wexler estate had improved my physical condition, and these guys were just high school wannabe gangsters. They were all talk. When it came to a real fight, they were pathetic. Less than 2 minutes later, all of Roxy's boys were on the ground, groaning in pain. Are we clear now? Next time, think before you act. At your age, you should be studying, not playing gangster. It's a dead end, and you guys are seriously weak. I patted Roxy's cheek again, then turned and walked away. Hitting a girl wasn't my style, but I figured today's lesson would be enough to make her think twice. Besides, the camera was broken. No one would ever know what happened. And who would believe that a frail-looking guy like me could take on a whole group of thugs? Even if they told someone, it would sound like a joke. By the time I got back to the classroom, Chloe had already taken care of everything. A new desk and chair were waiting for me, and the way my classmates looked at me had changed. Chloe had obviously given them a stern warning, and they didn't dare to openly antagonize me anymore. Mason's little followers, in particular, had received a special talking to from Chloe. She wasn't stupid. She could see the pattern in all the recent events. This was clearly Mason's targeted campaign against me. The Chasen girls quickly reported back to Mason. Furious, Mason rushed to the school. This was a major setback. Mason, you're here. Is your ankle okay? You should be at home resting. Yeah, Mason, your ankle is the most important thing. What if it doesn't heal properly? The moment Mason arrived, a crowd of his fans surrounded him, showering him with concern. But Mason's attention wasn't on them. The first thing he did when he entered the classroom was scan the room for me. Damn it, it must have been him. He must have snitched to Chloe. Why else would she warn them? These useless idiots. They can't even handle one simple task. Now I have to come down here myself. So incompetent. If they weren't so easy to manipulate, I wouldn't waste my breath on them. A dead silence fell over the classroom. Everyone stared at Mason, their eyes wide with disbelief. That voice, it was definitely his. But what was he saying? Was he insulting them? The girls clustered around him were particularly stunned. When I heard his inner monologue, I almost burst out laughing. So it wasn't just the Wexlers who could hear him. The whole class could hear him, too. This was getting interesting. I wonder if that idiot Roxy managed to get the job done. That's about all she's good for. Once I get those pictures of Leo hanging out with those thugs and show them to Mom, Dad, and my sisters, they'll be furious. Roxy, who had just rushed over after hearing that Mason was at school, arrived just in time to hear his thoughts. It was a punch to the gut. Devastating. She had done so much for him, and this is what he thought of her. Roxy, you're here. What happened? You look pale. Are you not feeling well? Mason switched back to his concerned, gentle persona. Roxy forced a smile and waved her hand dismissively. I'm just a little under the weather. Nothing serious. I'll be fine after a couple of days' rest. Great. Just my luck. She's sick, so now there's no one to deal with Leo. What is going on lately? Nothing's going my way. The stress is killing me. I need to blow off some steam tonight. I'm going to the club. The one from last time was good. I think I'll request number 88 again. A self-destructing time bomb. It took all my self-control not to laugh out loud. I had to bury my face in my arms to hide my smile. I never knew Mason was into this kind of thing. And the best part was, he was exposing himself right in front of his fiancée, Sophia. And Sophia was known for her intolerance of any kind of impurity, especially in her men. Why is Sophia staring at me? Does she miss me? I bet she does. I'm so charming, she probably can't sleep at night when I'm not around. What does Leo have that I don't? Once Sophia and I are married, my position in the Wexler family will be unshakable. Who cares if I'm not their real son then? And these morons are so easy to fool. I can tell them anything, and they'll believe it. Little do they know, I'm the real imposter. Leo's the real heir my mother switched at birth. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I was shaking with suppressed laughter. As for the others, their faces were grim. They had actually stood up for this guy. He was playing them all for fools. I hear Sophia's older sister is even more beautiful, and she's a total powerhouse. A mature, sophisticated woman like that. She's probably into younger guys like me, right? If I could get with Isabella Rossi to a sister sandwich. Sophia on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and Isabella on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Now that's the life. Just thinking about it gets me excited. Sophia's face grew even colder, her eyes like chips of ice. Today, she had finally seen the real Mason Vance, fantasizing about being with her and her sister. The rest of the day was pure entertainment for me. Mason was a fascinating case study, a textbook manipulator. One face to the world, another in his mind. He mentally insulted every single person in the classroom. By the end of the day, there wasn't a single person in that room who was in a good mood. "You seem happy today." On the way home, Chloe noticed the smile on my face. Happy. I'm ecstatic. Better than I've ever been. School is so much fun. We headed home together. As for Mason, he had already made an excuse to sneak off to his club to consort with models. When I got home, there was a guest. Of course, Mason, who was supposed to be at the club, had been summoned back as well. That's our third sister. Leo, this is our third sister. She's rarely home. She came back for your welcome home party. Otherwise, we wouldn't see this busy woman for a year. She had already been filled in by the family. She knew that I was the innocent one, and a little brother they had cherished for over a decade was a venomous snake. Welcome home. This is a gift from me. I'm sorry it took me so long to come and see you. Please don't be upset with me. Her gift was an incredibly expensive, custom-made watch. The kind of thing money couldn't buy unless you had the right connections. When Mason saw the watch, his eyes went green with envy. Why did she buy him such an expensive gift? Damn it. If he hadn't shown up, all of this would have been mine. Sis, I miss you so much. Mason cried, running over to her. Did you only buy a gift for Leo? What about me? He put on his best pouty, kick-puppy face. If they hadn't been able to hear his thoughts, they would have fallen for it. But now they knew that he was no puppy. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing. When our third sister didn't respond, Mason's anxiety grew. Things were spiraling out of his control. Ever since I came back, the family's attitude toward him had changed drastically. Even at school, his loyal followers were now friendly with me and were starting to ignore him. I can't let this continue. I have to get rid of Leo. If I have to, I'll use my final trump card. Mason's thoughts suddenly cut off. They were all eager to know what he was planning. But after waiting for a long time, nothing more came. Sis, I want to watch too. Look, mine is so out of style, he whined. Or you could just give me the money, and I'll buy one myself. He had used this tactic to get money from the family many times before. He usually walked away with a few $100,000. But this time, when he asked for money, our third sister only gave him $10,000. I've invested most of my money recently, so I'm a little short on cash. This is all I have on me right now. I'll transfer you more when my investments pay out. $10,000? Mason's eye twitched. It's because of him. It's all because of Leo. I will make him pay. Mason shot me a venomous glare. I just shrugged. Bring it on. As long as I could hear his thoughts, I wasn't afraid of any of his schemes. Soon enough, we found out what his trump card was. At my welcome home party. Leo, our eldest sister is looking for you. She said it's urgent. Mason said with a sly smile, as if he knew something I didn't. Go on, go. As soon as you step into her room, your reputation will be ruined. I've already drugged her. Hurry up. A brother making a move on his own sister. Let's see you try to stay in the Wexler house after that. Then the family fortune will be all mine. It's a shame about our eldest sister, though. That body, that face. I was hoping to save her for myself. But to get rid of you, it's a worthy sacrifice. Mason's voice echoed in the minds of every Wexler in the room. No one there was a fool. They knew exactly what he had done. He had drugged our eldest sister in an attempt to frame me for sexual assault. They had tolerated all of his petty schemes up until now. But this was the last straw, to plot against his own family, using such a despicable method. Like father, like son, I suppose, our father said, his voice cold as ice. We raised him for all these years, and we still ended up with a snake in the house. You, he said, pointing to our third sister, handle this. Send him to live with his real parents. The rest of you, go find your sister and get her to a hospital. Make sure no one sees. As the Wexler sprang into action, I knew Mason's plan had failed. So I just stood there, waiting. "What are you waiting for? Our sister is looking for you," Mason urged, growing anxious when I didn't move. The drug was taking effect. He was running out of time. "What are you standing around for? It's an emergency. She needs you. Go, get in there now." The more agitated he became, the calmer I was. His panicked inner monologue was music to my ears. Seeing that I wasn't going to budge, Mason became desperate and even looked like he was about to physically shove me. But before he could, two bodyguards appeared behind him and grabbed his arms. "Mr. Mason, our third sister would like a word with you. Don't make a sound and don't resist. It will only be more painful for you." Seeing that the bodyguard were serious, Mason didn't dare to fight back. He allowed them to lead him away. I never saw Mason Vance again. It didn't matter to me one way or the other. Without him, the Wexler house was free of drama and conflict. Everyone treated me well. The next time I saw him, he had gone from a privileged young master to a disabled beggar on the street. Even the little money he managed to beg for was immediately stolen by the other beggars. "Are you satisfied?" a cool voice asked from beside me. "A good start," I replied. "But I don't want to see him in this city again. Can you arrange that?" "Of course." Isabella Rossi glanced at the pathetic figure of Mason with disgust, then waved a hand at her subordinates. Without Mason, the whole city seemed to breathe a little easier, and I, as a matter of course, took his place, marrying Isabella Rossi and sealing the alliance between our families. Beautiful, rich, and powerful. What's not to like?